normally when you go on vacation, you take a little time to catch up on many things that you couldn't do while you were working. And one of the things is social media, the news of the day, and news that basically it's there. Most people don't catch on to it unless somebody like myself will tell you about it. And I think that's one of the best things is that when we take that time off during that slow period, which is August is the summer one, and December to January is the other. And that's the one thing about what I miss about network television is that the summer period, that couple of months that they take off to put together new programming, new shows, get them all together, and then they roll them out in September, October, and we miss a lot of that because basically it gives us a lot of time to catch up on the shows that we missed during the season. But the other half of this, and like I said, the stories that we tried to catch up on that we miss, is that we talk a lot about anime, how good anime is, how it is strengthening here in the West, but there's still fights of it because basically there's people trying to censor it, trying to change the dubbing of them. They tell you, well, Western audiences won't understand it, and that's all poppycock. I myself, and I've discussed this before, I have been watching anime since the 1970s. I started on WJNU, channel 47, which is a Spanish network here in New York City. They shared Saturday nights with Nippon Television. Nippon Television used to take over around 7, 8 o'clock at night, and the first 2 hours were dedicated to Japanese anime, and it wasn't dubbed, it was subtitled. It was something new that a lot of people didn't know what it was at the time. We were familiar with Gigantor and all that 1970s stuff that was American made, that was made animated overseas, but still, to see some of the product like Galaxy Express 39 and Ikusan, Cyborg 009, and a lot of the anime that popped out at that time period before the interjection of Toonami and the VHS world, whereas we used to go down to Chinatown, pay a couple bucks, and get a bootleg of some of this anime. Now these days, anime can be gotten in many ways. You can see it on many different streaming sites. You can see it on DVD, Blu-ray. You can even go to the high seas for this. And of course, there are many different types of anime. There's something for everyone. You have sports, you have comedies, romantic, you even have stuff from the LGBTQ community as well, which people don't realize that. But you have the critics that says it's not for kids, which we have a video of that coming out very soon on that. It's too sexist. There are girls with large
big breastises.
Girls that are half naked, or you're getting panty shots, or fan service, as we call it in the community. We call it fan service, all the sexy parts of it, which there's nothing wrong with that, because that's not gearing to children. That is gearing to those of us who are mature enough to handle that type of content. And there have been many the last 2 years. We have our controversies with the Goblin Slayer and redo the Healer, Shield Hero, and there have been many others on there. One of them in the past years we've been talking about was My Dress Up Darling. My Dress Up Darling, I think is one of the great contenders for Anime of the Year. It's really, really good. It's fun. It's a little sexy. Yeah, it does have some fan service in it. Not blatant fan service. And then you have the situation from the manga point of view of it, from Manga Up, and we discussed this in another video. The censoring bars over the female characters that are wearing bikinis, which there is nothing wrong with it. There's, girls wear bikinis. Some girls, they're very well endowed. And, there are those here in the West that have a problem with that, of well-endowed girls. And, we discussed this book, about the New Puritans, that they're basically trying to ban all this stuff. And they just really never sit down and watch this. They just look at clips and photos, screenshots of the shows, and thinking that the whole show is full of this, but not going into what the main storyline is. Now, My Dress Up Darling, there was an article I caught off a place called Epic Stream. And Epic Stream wrote this little thing that they had to talk with the director of My Dress Up Darling, that basically Marin, she's the main character of the show, has a unique appeal. And she does. If you have seen this show, she's fantastic. She's really good. Let me read off a little bit just from the Epic Stream article. Marin was one of the most popular characters in the Winter 22 anime season. Recently, My Dress Up Darling director explained Marin Unique's appeal in an interview. Recently, a two-part interview with director Keisuke Shiohara, Marin is arguably the highlight character of the anime thanks to her loving personality and good looks. While there are a lot of characters that can be described the same way, Marin has a unique appeal that makes her stand out. When asked about Marin's unique appeal, Shinohara said, "I think Marin is a girl who you can just generally feel is cute. It's not just her appearance, but it's her bright and cheerful attitude. The respect she has for other people is wonderful." Marin's respect for others is an interesting trait to note. While her appearance and personality makes her seem like a typical popular high school student character, she's much more than a trope. Instead, Marin is warm and brings people up instead of putting them down. Another thing about Marin that's added to her appeal is the disparities in her personality that the My Dress Up Darling director explains. Normally, she is assertive, but when it comes to love, she isn't able to express her feelings. At first glance, she may seem a bit shallow, but she's actually really well put together. While still being a teen-like, it is refreshing to see a character such as Marin be upfront with herself regarding her feels for Gojo. If you're not familiar who Gojo is, he's the male lead in the show. But the fact is that she has a hard time expressing it. It does add to her appeal without making her typically tsundere, who refuses to acknowledge his or her feelings. My Dress Up Darling is an anime by Series Cloverworks based on the manga of the same by Shinichi Fukadata. The manga is serialized in Square Enix Young Ganga magazine, and it's available on the English online Manga Up, which I don't recommend you guys going to Manga Up to get this. Get it elsewhere, or go to your bookstores or order it online. Get it directly, because Manga Up does censor this manga. The series follows a high school student, Gojo, who dreams of becoming a Hina doll's craftsman. Now, if you're not familiar with what a Hina doll is, look it up, but it's basically like a doll created from the old days of Japan. They're really cute. People collect them because there are many different ways to make them as far as clothing and looks and stuff like that. And basically, Gojo is really good at that. Who dreams of becoming a Hina doll craftsman at school, Gojo secretly practices making doll costumes, but he is spotted by his popular classmate, Marin. After seeing Gojo make clothes, Marin enlists him to help him make costumes for her cosplay hobby. While there's no official announcement yet regarding Season 2, there's some speculation that Season 2 will be announced at the upcoming event this month. And, you hear many things online when discussing My Dress Up Darling, and you have your critics on there, and they're always trying to put this anime down. Some of the cosplay that she's doing in the anime and manga, yes, some of it's from hentai. It is a little sexy, but the thing about it is, in this anime, it's not done in a way where it pushes out that hentai. Yes, it does sex appeal and fan service to that nature, but this is more toward a really good story into relationships. And we're not talking sexual relationships. We're talking relationships between two persons that basically found something unique together. You could say for yourself, this is how two people who get married, this is how they find themselves in life. That basically they find similarities that they enjoy together. And when you see Gojo and Marin together, you can see the sort of the angst that basically that they're finding themselves romantically getting closer together. But you also see the situation that they're really good friends. And that's the bonds that you look for in a relationship. It is always that, people say, well, we could be friends. And it's, sometimes being a friend first in a relationship is important because you learn more about yourself. And I think that's the important takeaway from this, is that you're learning more about yourself and your hobbies. And that's, in this anime, and you've seen the things that Marin goes through, and that, she likes to go. I mean, that beach scene alone is fantastic. If you haven't seen the anime itself, do catch it. Catch it over on Crunchyroll. It's still there. It's really good. This is, and people say, well, this should be censored and stuff. No, it shouldn't be. This is a heartwarming, and generally, a lot of these rom-com types, I generally don't get into too much unless it has a really, really good story. This happens to be one of them. This is really, really good. I mean, friendship, very important in your life. And those friendship are the binds that tie us, especially when it comes to relationship. Me and my wife courted for several years before we decided to get married. And the thing about it is, we got to learn about each other. And, and I had to say, I'm not an expert completely on my wife, and vice versa, because we're still learning about each other. And I think that's why our relationship has strengthened through, we're married 8 years now. We just celebrated our 8th anniversary in August. And, and I've been with her for over 15 years. And that's the thing that you have to remember. You just can't go out and marry someone if you don't know who they really are. And that's the strength that strengthens the family unit. Knowing your partner. That's what's been missing a lot from the relationships people are having today, especially in the West. You have a lot of single parent homes out there. And this is one of the reasons why, because, everyone thinks everything is sex, Loving someone is more to it than sex. Loving someone is knowing them, understanding them, being around them, liking some of the things that, they together, and exploring the human relations. This is things that they teach you in Catholic high school. People say, well, you're talking about religion. So no. See, there are courses that were taught to me that had nothing to do with religion. It had to do with basically being human. And that's why I call it human relations, because basically it's a relationship between people. And it's not only male to female, it's male to male as well. And we're not talking about homosexuality. We're talking about friends being friends, respecting one another. I've lost many friends in the past because we just didn't identify on certain things, and that happens. But then there are other friends that I've had for many decades now that I still communicate with, and on occasion we discuss things, news of the day, what's been going on with our families, because a lot of them are married just like me, and they have their kids, and watching their kids grow up, and it amazes me why people want to fight not to have it, or what they call the nuclear family. And this goes into, and you're saying like, what does this have to do with this anime? What, are they going to get married? No, this is the story of two people who find themselves, indirectly, this is not something where it's basically, hey, oh God, she looks great, or she says he's hot, this is where, hey, I see that you're into sewing, I'm lousy at sewing, but I need to do these costumes, is there anything, and this is how people, get together, they're basically friendship, and romantic, and then it becomes romantically, when it comes to that nature, when you sit down and say to yourself, hey, are we falling in love? Is this love? And that's what you got to ask yourself, and this is what's happening in My Dress Up Darling. So please tell me what are your feelings upon this, and please comment below. I know there are those who do enjoy the anime, and have you seen My Dress Up Darling? What are your thoughts of the anime? Do you consider it a interesting rom-com, or do you consider it just pure fan service? So let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share this video, and we will have other videos coming down the pike. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.